All right, we're live. Hey, today we are talking about wood. Hey, when you get ready to build a house, should you build it out of wood? I mean, is it really a good choice? And we're not talking about just framing up your house with wood. You might build a house out of cement. And if you build it out of cement, well, you got this wood furniture, you got wood cabinets, you got wood tables, you got wood door frames, wood window frames. What should you do? I mean, I've seen a lot of wooden houses. So is all of them bad, or are there some things you can do? Because hey, building with wood is my favorite all-time favorite material to use when it comes time to build it. It's easy, it's flexible, it's forgiving. But they're in Costa Rica, it's a whole nother story. So today we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, but all about wood when we're talking about building your house with wood. So hey folks, hey, welcome to the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. Hey, take a moment to give me a shout out. Welcome everybody that's here. I can see Eduardo, some other folks that are here. Comment and look, be engaging. So we're going to have a good time. We're going to be talking. We're continuing this series, and I got this series going on, and it's called Building Your House in Costa Rica. And it's everything you need to know. We've already talked about building with concrete, building with metal. And today we're talking about wood. Next week, we're going to be talking about something I bet you most of you never even heard about. Is it going to be a new building material? Will it be a fad? Will it be something really awesome? So we're going to talk about that next week. But hey, if this is your first time here, who is that bald-headed dude over on the screen? Well, I'm Alan, and I've been in Costa Rica since November 2013. Man, I've lived in over 25 different places, houses, locations, all on purpose, for the most part, just trying to find my slice of paradise. I finally found my slice of paradise, built my own house all out of metal, and I don't have a single termite problem anywhere. But do I have other problems? Well, we talked about all those different kind of things in those other videos, so make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you take a look at some of those other videos and subscribe so that you can watch these continuing lives every Sunday at 4 o'clock. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, one real important thing I left out, what you got to know if you're brand new, is I've got nothing to sell you. See, here on this channel, we give away all of our information for free. So you don't have to worry about me trying to sell you anything, trying to scam you with anything, trying to con you into coming to Costa Rica so I can sell you more of my product and services. Just sharing from my perspective and my experience so that you don't get conned, because I've been there. I've been conned. So, hey, welcome, Doug. Welcome, Eduardo. Welcome, all you folks that are here. So give me a shout out, and let's jump into it. All right. So, we talked about concrete, and that's really the most popular building material, and I explained why. Well, keep in mind that when you build with concrete, you are going to have a lot of wood in your house. I mean, the door frames be wood, the window frames be wood. And then stop and think about a lot of the things inside the house. Now, Costa Ricans, when they build a house, let me back up. In the United States, when we build a house, I mean, you can have these beautiful wood cabinets all over the place, But in Costa Rica, not the case. Most of the time in Costa Rica, your countertop in the bathroom, it's cement. The countertop in the kitchen, it's cement. It's when they build a cement house, it's cement. About the only wood is going to be around the door frames and the window frames. Okay, so not a whole lot of wood, but the thing to keep in mind is that you are going to have termite issues if you don't know what to do. So, same thing with steel, okay? Steel, not when they build with steel, which is not very, very common. A lot of times you don't have any wood window frames, and you might have some wood door frames, but even that might be metal. So I really like building with steel. Well, so let's keep in mind. So let me go back, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of my experience. Years ago, when I say years ago, I'm talking about 40, 50, 60 years ago, before. They've always been building with cement, but many years ago, lots and lots of people, especially in the remote areas, would build out of wood. Okay, but when we say they built it out of wood, in the United States, we think of we've got lots of pine trees that grow really fast, and pine trees are not native to Costa Rica. They have other softwood that they use. But keep in mind that, in the United States, we see these wood frame houses, we call them stick frame houses, and, they put those up and they can go up really quick. In the United States, when we build a wooden house, okay, most of the time we're going to have a solid cement slab, and then we're going to throw up that wood frame on top of it. But before we put that slab down, we're going to treat that dirt, and we're going to have it all treated for termites and bugs and all of that, okay? And then we put up the stick frame house. In the United States, our termites there are subterranean, which means that, hey, they basically live underground, okay? Not the case in Costa Rica. Okay, in Costa Rica, the majority of the termites, they have these big balls of, it looks like dirt in the trees and stuff. And termites are all in the trees all over the place. And because it's such a tropical climate, man, the termites are everywhere. I remember when I first came to Costa Rica, driving around, and it was like, man, look at that. That looks like humongous nest. And I'd walk up there, and then that's when I realized it was termite nest. And, so there was these termite nests all over the place. Well, the only place I haven't seen termite nests is way up where I'm at, okay? So at the higher elevation, it's too cold for termites. And I'm actually on a property where this huge property I'm on, the owner here, he's a great craftsman, okay? And he built, I want to say 9 or 10 buildings on this property, all out of wood. And he never had a single problem with termites because there's no termites up here. So building with wood is an advantage if you're in higher elevations, okay? Now, the thing is it cost effective? A few years ago during the last administration, things went nuts, and wood became the price of gold, man. I mean, it's horrible. So, I don't know. I think that the price of wood is still really expensive in the United States. I don't know that. But I do know the price of wood in Costa Rica is crazy expensive. So, would I want to build a house out of wood in Costa Rica? Probably not. Now, let me go back because I got sidetracked. I talked about, 50, 60, 70 years ago. In the remote areas, a lot of people built out of wood. And I was saying it's not like the United States. You see stick frames. A lot of people, when they built out of wood, they built with the trees they had on their property. I'm talking about you literally saw them cut down the straightest tree possible, and it may only be about that big around, and that's what they use for posts. That's what they use for the framing on the roof. And look, and I'm talking about they still do that today. I'm going to say a couple of years ago, I went into this girl's house. I say girl, woman, I think about 40s, had 4 kids, and and not talking bad about her, kudos to people, but that house was built out of sticks. I'm talking about literal sticks, and so there was trunks like this. And I want to say that, I know looking at the roof, all of it was the roof, the whole framing of the roof was all out of sticks, okay? And I've seen restaurants the same way. So kudos to people who, I think it's the law should allow. If you can build a house out of whatever you want, build it, okay? And in Costa Rica, I've seen them practically do that. In Costa Rica, I've seen a ton of people. Matter of fact, I remember living over in San Isidro in the Morazan area, and there was this steep hill that went down, and right next to it was massive bamboo grove there. And this guy, I seen him take some of this bamboo, and he picked up scraps all over the place. And what looked like a kid's tree house, he built him a tree house in that bamboo, and he just had scraps. But little bit by little bit, he eventually had a house big enough that he could live in. Hey, the guy's living now in whether it be a tree house, it was his house that he lived in, and he wasn't living on the streets. Okay. So, so you want to keep in mind, I've seen a lot of those houses that people have built just like that. Here's the bad thing, is they built those, and by the time they get done building it, they got inside walls, outside walls. Well, before you know it, they could turn around and sell that thing, and you don't know that it's built out of sticks, okay? Now, is that bad or good? Well, it's good enough for them, and they're thinking it's good enough for you. But what's bad is you don't know that a few years down the road, the termites will eat it up, okay? Well, termites will eat up anything. Even if you build a house and it's a concrete house with wood frame and wood windows, you do have termite issues. Now, you can call the fumidora, okay? And I might be pronouncing that wrong, okay? But the fumidora can come in, and he's got a big old truck, and man, they will, just like a fog cloud all through that house. And so you can have a ton of poison in your house. I personally don't want that poison in my house and on my stuff. But if you want to make sure you don't have bugs and you don't want to have termites, that's what you do, okay? So a lot of stores and stuff will have that sprayed in their house to get rid of bugs inside the stores, okay? So anyway, there are things you can do, but you would definitely have to watch very closely. So my point is, if you buy a wood house here, if you buy a concrete house, if you go and look at it yourself, you'll be like, oh, I don't see any termite problems, but here's the thing you need to know about termites, okay? The outside of that wood, it kind of looks fine. You don't see visual holes in it. Outside looks good, but then all of a sudden, you stick a knife in it, and it's like paper mache on the inside. The termites is kind of like destroy it from the inside out, okay? And once you see termites on the outside, it's too late, all right? So, those are some important things for you to know about. Now, let's go into, a lot of these people were building because they could get the wood off their property. Now, let me pause just a moment. It is beginning to rain here. And of course, we got the 10. But the last time it did that, my understanding, you could all hear just fine because I got a really good mic here that's picking me up and not all the rain. So if there's a problem with the noise, you hear this weird banging here, it's raining. Okay. So anyway, keep in mind that way back, they built the house. Now, some people built their house, like I said, out of sticks. Okay. Other people, they cut trees down, and some people can afford to have someone bring a portable sawmill in, dry that wood. But a lot of people basically, and I know some people up here, have a chainsaw mill. With a chainsaw mill, they can take that chainsaw and, they'll cut a tree and cut all the wood they need. And it's really rough, but they can build their house out of it. And there's a lot of people in this area, that's exactly how they built their house. Because they can cut down the tree on their property, okay? So, it's really, I think it's great for people that if they can cut down trees and they can build their house, that's awesome. You just have, and look, there's nothing wrong with you buying wood in Costa Rica and building a house. Now, if I was going to build a house out of wood in Costa Rica, I would do the same thing as I talked about last time, like whenever you build out of metal. I would build that house up off the ground. So let's kind of start from right there. Let's talk about when you build a house, like I said in the United States, normally you pour this foundation of cement and you build, right? Well, the problem is in the United States, the termites are subterranean. And if you treat the ground, usually it's not a problem. Costa Rica, they're not. They're all in the trees and everywhere. And so they're going to come if it's on the ground. And it's really easy for bugs and ants and stuff. They're crawling up your house and eating your wood up and everything. Well, if I were going to build a wood house in Costa Rica, I would build it off the ground. I wouldn't do it on a concrete slab. I would actually have wooden, my house would be raised, and I would raise at least 3 foot off the ground. And that way it'd be really easy to treat everything underneath it. That's a whole lot less bugs coming inside, a whole lot less termites. And so I would probably build it on metal beams coming up. And in that way, the rest of the house has got a wooden subfloor, wooden floor. And in that way, the rest of my house would go up. Now, I was talking about years ago how they built them out of sticks. A lot of people, a real common house I saw when I came to Costa Rica is where the first meter would be all cement block, okay? So they would have cement in around the base of the house. The first meter would be cement block. Then that meter up would be wood. Well, why was that? Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. The termites being on the ground, it was, their concept and their thought was, okay, the termites would, they wouldn't do anything because that first meter is all cement. And so did that work? Well, I guess it did, but eventually the termites get up there and get the upper part of the house as well. But that is a very popular house that I saw in Costa Rica with the first meter from the ground up. So you'd have, probably 6-7 rows of cinder blocks, and then the wood went from there up, okay? And then, of course, they all had the same regular metal house. So there are a lot of wooden houses, or, well, not a lot. There's the most houses you're going to see in Costa Rica is going to be cement, okay, a prefab. But, you know, in the remote areas, you are going to see a lot of wooden houses. And that was basically because they could actually cut down the trees on their property and build a house. Now, the deal is they built a house and, you know, they weren't treated with wood. Well, guess what? If you can build your own house and all it costs you is labor, well, then 10 years, 15 years, if it falls apart, you build another one. Just do it. And that's one of the things that I really like about Costa Rica is that in Costa Rica, they're not waiting for someone to do something. They're not waiting for a backhoe to dig the hole for the septic tank. They got this mentality that I think that Nike stole, okay? Just do it. Just do it, man. Look, when it comes time to dig a hole, 3 or 4 guys, they just do it. They just start digging, they start digging, they start digging, and they just do it. Comes time to build a house, they just do it. They get together, they start cutting that wood down, building it. They just do it. So I like that mentality. And I think that's just a mentality. When you don't have money and you can't have a tractor, you just do what you have to do to get the job done, to survive, to live. And so, you know, it's a way. Now, Eduardo brings up a thought. I don't know whether this is good, whether this is bad. He said, but he sprays diesel around the house and around the floors, or maybe on the floors, okay? But, hey, diesel is one way of getting rid of bugs. Is it the best way? I don't know. But, you know, it's definitely a thought, okay? But wood indeed is really, really expensive, okay? Now, and there are some places in Costa Rica, like where I live. Where I live, you can't cut down any trees. You know, if it's anything more than about 4 inches around, you can't cut it down. It's protected forest. Even if I own this whole 1,000 acres, I can't just go and cut down trees. Costa Rica still protects the forest, okay? So there's a lot of things that you just got to really, really know about your area. And that's why it's extremely, extremely important that whenever you get ready to buy a piece of property, you make sure you have a good attorney. And make sure you have that attorney check everything out so that, you know, everything is in order before you build. Because a lot of people, you know, they come to Costa Rica, they have no clue what's going on. Maybe they're not watching my channel. They haven't done any research. And unfortunately, a lot of people think, well, hey, in the United States, man, I get ready to buy a piece of property. I just buy it. I get a contractor. They build it. And in the United States, there's recourse. Contractor's going to do what's right, or it's really easy to go and take them to court. Costa Rica is totally different. And if you come to Costa Rica and you trust somebody without due diligence, or without, you know, you think it's like Costa Rica, you'll get conned in a hurry. So it's always, you got to be very, very careful. And, you know, you can't use just anyone. And that's why I say always have a good attorney. I would use my recommended attorney because even I have been conned by several attorneys, okay? And so it's really hard to find a good attorney. But I'll try to remember to put the link to my favorite attorney in the description on this particular video. But what that brings up a side note here. Now, next week, we're talking about building with wood this week. But next week is our usual Q&A. It's the first Sunday of the month Q&A where, hey, the only thing we talk about is I answer questions from you. If you have questions about living in Costa Rica, you got doubts, you're wondering what's going on, well then, hey, this is a great time. It's kind of like having a free one-on-one session with me as I answer all your questions. But the reason I bring that up is the week after that, I'm going to be talking about some pretty scary stuff, okay? But anyway, something that I come across earlier this week, and something I want to share with you. But what is really the whole reason when you get ready to build, you better make sure that you use a good attorney. And if I were you, I'd use my attorney. Okay, it's the only honest attorney that I have found so far. I actually had 2 other Teak attorneys that I found that didn't do me wrong. But I've only did a little bit of business with them. It's hard to find a good, honest attorney in Costa Rica. Okay, but there are some. Okay, but anyway, so let's take a look at some of your questions. What questions do you have about building in Costa Rica? Now, Doug says that, hey, in Canada, most homes are stuck built. I think he meant stick built, meaning, they're built out of wood. And he said he built their house out of styrofoam interlocking hollow blocks filled with cement. Very good insulation, bug and rodent proof. And that's there's a company here in Costa Rica I've actually spoken with, and they're wanting to do the exact same thing here. And it's actually a really, really great option when it comes to building a house. And it's exactly that same type of thing that you're talking about, Doug, where it's styrofoam interlocking, the center is hollow, and the styrofoam, everything stays there after the cement's in, which gives it even better soundproofing, better insulation and all that. And so, and like Doug said, yeah, he's heard that some contractors trying to bring these into Costa Rica, and they most definitely are. They're already here, okay? So, there is a lot of really, there's a lot of important things that you need to know when it comes to actually building. I kind of even wondered whether I would even talk about building with wood or not in Costa Rica, because you just don't see a lot of that. And the reason you don't see a lot of that, well, there's two reasons. The biggest reason is that because it's simply because of the termites. Number two, there's not a lot of people that's talented and able to build with wood. It's really easy to build with cement. You're going to cement, you don't have to have a whole lot of tools. Really, all you need is thinking a hammer, and a water bubble. You just don't need tools. I mean, so it's just pretty impressive. That's just the way it is. Instead of actually using a cement cutter, man, they just break everything with a hammer and put up a house and cover all them breaks up with mortar. Okay, pretty amazing to me. Kind of crazy to me, but that's the way it's done in Costa Rica. And it's done like that in other places. I've seen them do the exact same thing in the Philippines, okay? But in a lot of countries, Nicaragua, Panama, that's how they build a house. And the most popular type of house is concrete. So anyway, let me know, would you guys actually build a house out of wood in Costa Rica? Now, on the beach, boy, I would highly, highly advise against it. You really, really, really need to, now, if you are just, you can build some very beautiful things. And what is a wood that's really popular in Costa Rica is teak. There's a lot of teak farms. So if you built your whole house out of teak, it is super, super bug resistant. Okay. And so I've never heard of termites going into teak. I'm not saying they can't. Okay. Most termites just don't like the taste of teak, from my understanding. Okay. So keep in mind, if you're just adamant that you want a wood house or you want wood furniture in your house, make sure that you get it built out of teak. Okay. So the important thing is when it comes time to actually building your house. And so we talked about, your wood frame house. Well, a lot of your furniture is wood. Well, I've been in houses where the termites are eating up the furniture. So I actually, so that it, which means you've got to treat everything. You've got to be careful. I actually saw a video earlier on this poor guy that came to Costa Rica in a school bus, and he converted to a schoolie where they're living out of this schoolie. And so they actually parked it on a piece of property that they were going to build at. And so they had it parked. Okay. And he, of course, all the inside was wood. Well, he had only been here a couple of years when termites had eaten, just almost ate holes through the floor. That's how bad it is. So you really need to, it don't take no time. And so this whole video showed how they deconstructed this thing and nearly had to just tear everything out of the school bus and redo it, because that's how quick termites can get into it. And so we're talking about a school bus that's, well, it's up off the ground. It's not off the ground much, and it was parked there close to the soil, and so it's easy for bugs to get into. And there's, hey, Robin Laura. Robin Laura says, hey, your neighbor used Canadian cedar, so I'm guessing it's termite resistant as well. And yes, Robin Laura's actually been out to my place, and yes, that guy used Canadian cedar. Now, the thing is, it is resistant to termites, but we don't have termites up here. I haven't seen a single termite nest in my area. It's just too cold for them. But I do believe that Canadian cedar is termite resistant, okay? All right, now, you know what? Eduardo brings up a good point. He says, oh, white lizards. And those white lizards are geckos. So geckos, hey, is it a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it a good alternative to spraying for bugs? Absolutely. So if you can catch enough of those geckos and have around your house, Well, look, man, I actually house sat this one house in Hako, okay? And man, that place was covered in geckos. And so in the morning time, every morning I'd have to take the broom and I'd have to sweep the whole porch off with the gecko poop everywhere. Made it really easy to clean off. I mean, that's, it's like marbles. But anyway, geckos were all over the place. I mean, as soon as it got dark, geckos were coming out eating all the mosquitoes and all the bugs. And so, hey, I'm guessing if there was termites, they'd be eating those too. But problem is, termites are in the wood and geckos aren't in the wood. So I don't know if that would be good. So, hey, kudos to Brian. I greatly appreciate Brian G. giving me a shout. He says, great seeing you, Alan. You have such a passion for helping us with major travel decisions. My top guy that is real and honest. No BS. Thank you. Hey, thank you so much, Brian. I greatly appreciate you. Kudos. I enjoy doing what I do. And, hey, like I said, I do it all free. But if you are serious about coming to Costa Rica, hey, in any one of the links, you can check the links. Not trying to sell you. I'm just telling you so that you know, because I don't have anything to sell you. But if you want, you can schedule a phone consultation. And so all you got to do, my calendar is in the link below. You can schedule a consultation with me. That is not free, but it's a way that you can support this channel, okay? Because everything I do is for free, and I love to talk to people, and I love helping people, okay? Just simply because, hey, I've got a job. I didn't come to Costa Rica broke, and I enjoy doing what I do. I work online, and I make more than enough. I'm not rich by far, but I make way more than enough. So I'm not bragging, but if you do want to support the channel, it's greatly appreciated, okay? And I say that because a lot of the people that come to Costa Rica, they come to Costa Rica, don't have a lot of money, run out of money, and say, I'll just start a YouTube channel, just start selling my services, and so they will sell you Costa Rica and tell you what you want to hear. If you make a phone consultation with me, I might talk you out of Costa Rica. I'm going to make sure that you know the whole truth and nothing but the truth, okay? And I'll give you the good, the bad, and ugly. I can tell you that, I've been on this property for 4 years this August, okay? And I absolutely love where I'm at. I love Costa Rica. Now, there's a lot of things that I do not like about Costa Rica, okay? And the first 9 years of being in Costa Rica, I many times I was about to leave. I'm like, that's retarded. Can you believe that? I just went nuts. I mean, some of the stuff that happened in Costa Rica, and from just simply not being considerate or just some of the stupidity, it would just drive me nuts because I'm a very considerate person, very compassionate, always very helpful. And, I couldn't stand living next to somebody and they got 15 barking dogs or the kids are playing their music, the jam so loud on Friday night. It's just, there's a lot of things that you really got to get used to. And so the best thing is when you come to Costa Rica and you're serious, make that phone consultation. Don't make the phone consultation. Watch all the videos on my channel. You watch all the videos on my channels and you'll be like, crap, I ain't going to Costa Rica. Or maybe you'll say, okay, now that Alan has told me about it, I'm aware. And, because I always say, not trying to scare you, just trying to prepare you so that when you do come to Costa Rica, you'll know what to do. Now, William shares, he says, hey, he says he redid a drain pipe underneath the sink, and he found termite damage in the doors of the cabinet today. Alternative material. Hey, if I were you, Bill, I would turn around and I would just go get some teak wood. Teak wood's a little bit expensive, but I would redo all of my cabinets, any of my door frames, all of my window frames. I do it out of teak. Okay. And it doesn't take that much teak for your door frames, window frames, and then you won't have to worry about termites. And Robin Laura's like, yeah, you always let geckos in your house for bug purposes. They will get rid of a lot of bugs. So there are things you can do if you decide that you want to build with wood. So personally, for me, number one is I would build that baby up off the ground at least 3 feet. Okay, that way it'd be very, very easy to keep it treated underneath. And if it's treated and dry, then you're not going to have to worry about rot. Yeah, you're not going to have to worry about bugs as much. Okay, so if you got it up off the ground, okay, and then if you build with better quality wood, you're building with teak as much as you can. Okay, and matter of fact, one house here, you could build the whole house out of treated lumber. Okay, now that would be really expensive, but guess what? If you build it out of treated lumber, it's going to be there a long time. Matter of fact, the very first house, this guy, my neighbor, first house he built here, and it was not a huge house. It was just a little bitty camp house, I guess you could say, a little cabina, and he built it all out of treated lumber. And that baby is still solid today. It's about 20 years old, just as solid as it was the day that he built it. Now he did later. He loves to put up signs all over the place, and so he's had several pieces of wood that he's replaced, but it wasn't treated lumber. It was wood that wasn't treated. Weird now. Okay, anyway, so because of the weather and all of the rain, wood will tend to rot, if you can't keep it dry. Now, William says that geckos also attract scorpions. I didn't know that. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I didn't know that. We get a few geckos here, don't see a lot, but we have a lot more scorpions here than we do geckos. Matter of fact, just about 3 days ago, because I don't have a shower in my house. I got the first little old bodega I built, there's a shower there. And so anyway, took a shower. Right after I took a shower, I grabbed my towel off of the metal wall. So I got a couple of hooks there, and my towel's hanging there. Okay, well, I grabbed my towel like I always do, and I'm getting ready to dry myself, and all of a sudden, bam! I was like, "Ow! What's that?" And man, I mean, like someone shot me in my side. It didn't feel that bad, but man, I looked and I had this scorpion about this big. This was for you, Evelina. Had this scorpion this big, and he was on my towel. And when that towel got to me, I scared him, and he hit me. Well, he stung me. And scorpion sting is really not that bad. Usually it's only going to hurt for about an hour and it's done. Really not that bad. But when I initially got stung, it's pretty tender on my side. I got stung by this scorpion. And look, scorpions, I play with them in my hand. As long as you wait for them and are not real scared, they get over the initial scare, they'll walk all over you and not even try to sting you. I had scared him. He was sleeping on my towel. So anyway. And Evelina was like, I was expecting you to say a spider. This one was a scorpion. He's a pretty big one, too. I've only been stung by a scorpion, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 times. So anyway. So Evelina asked the questions. I was talking about this guy's bus that got devoured by termites. Is there no workaround to redo it every few months? A lot of people like to convert their vehicles like that. And that challenge is not really a way to redo it. So, a lot of, if I was going to redo a bus like that, I would turn around and make sure the whole bottom of that bus would be solid metal. And I'd build on top of that metal. And then that would be a workaround. And so if your whole bus, the bottom of it was solid, but in this guy's case, it was just kind of metal framed and he had this wood on there. And so it was really easy for the termites to get to it from the bottom. And, once you're putting up studs and walls in his bathrooms, it was all tiled and everything. It's not something that you could take and change out every few months or once a year or anything. So the best thing would be to do is before you even build it, you want to convert your schoolie or your car or truck, make that whole bottom complete solid metal and, make sure that whole thing is metal. Well, termites can't get inside of a solid metal box, right? And then you do the same thing as I talked about earlier when it comes to the window frames and door frames like that. Use teak wood if you're not going to use metal. So that's a way to actually do that. Now, Pigs has an interesting idea and said, hey, if she had to build a house, she said, I'd build an earthship using car tires if I had to pick a material. And hey, I've actually seen some people doing something very similar to that. I actually saw this one guy. And, you know, in the United States, you can literally go to these gas stations and stuff, and you can get tires for free. Costa Rica, you don't get nothing for free. I'm sure you have to buy them. But I actually saw a guy build this massive wall. You know, I guess it was, he had this wall, and he didn't want it to wash away. So he kind of built a retaining wall, and he just, he stacked tires, filled them all with dirt, packed it, stacked another layer, packed it, stacked another layer. And so he ended up having his whole wall of tires. Wasn't the prettiest thing in the world, but hey, it eventually would grow grass and everything else. But hey, tires are definitely something that will, I think, be there forever, right? So it would be a great way to, if you wanted to build a house, you definitely could do that. Now, William asked a good question. Is it true that boric acid around wood keeps termites out? You know, I don't know. It seems like I have heard something about that. So, hey, Rob, if you're on here, Rob does a lot of building. He's from Canada. If you've heard about whether boric acid is good and kind of helps drive termites out, let me know. I haven't heard. I've heard about it, but I couldn't tell you whether that's true or not. That's a good question, Bill. Oh, Evelina. I'm glad you brought that up, Evelina. Evelina says that, you know, there's a lot of playgrounds that are made with cars. You know, they take tires and they break them down to little tiny pieces. I actually helped the church where I was preaching at many years ago. I was preaching at this church, you know, 200 or 300 people every Sunday. And we put in this playground area for the kids. And they took these old tires and ground them all up, little pieces. And we put it all over the playground where kids were on the jungle gym. And if they fall, it was kind of a softer area for them. And so it was a great way to reuse these old tires. But she's saying that their car tires the shavings are being removed from kids' parks because gases cause cancer. Wow. I'm glad you shared that, Evelina. You know, there's a lot of things that we think are a good idea, and we don't find out that it's bad for you until after it's too late, you know. So, hey, I'm glad you shared that. Maybe building an earthship out of tires wouldn't be that great of an idea. You know, what kind of gas effects might be coming from that? Of course, I guess if that earthship was completely covered in dirt so that the gases couldn't get out, might be something else. You know, might be something, you know. But anyway, yes, indeed. And Pig says you encase the whole tire. I think she says Torres, but anyway, I think that's a misspelling. I think she meant, you know, you put in tires. And so, and Evelina was saying, I was thinking of Rebecca because she once said that her nose bridge was damaged almost enough to need plastic reconstruction. But in another video, she looked all right. How's that healing? So it's healed up really well. She really was worried because she did have a spider bite right here. That, I mean, I think, geez, it must be 2 years. But yeah, it really did heal up great. So now she ain't worried about it at all. But at one point in time, it just took a long time. But thanks for asking, Evelina. I'll be sure to share that with her. She greatly appreciates it. But anyway, yeah, you know, the problem, you can get bit by spiders. I personally think that the reason it took so long is because she kept trying to mess with it. She kept trying to speed up the recovery. And I've gotten bit so many times, and I just leave it alone, and it heals up a whole lot faster. But it still takes a long time, you know. So, you know, there's when it comes to building, there are a lot of different things that you can do. And I can't wait to share with you. Of course, it's going to be in a couple of weeks because next week we do have the Q&A next week. But after that, I'll share with you this new building material that I'm really excited to share with you. And Evelina says, when you say a long time to heal, you say 6 months. Well, I think her nose took 2 years to heal. That long, okay? And her and I got a spider bite the exact same time. I mean, I think it was the same day. Okay. Well, I say the same night. And I had a bite on my arm, and she had a bite on her nose. And mine healed up probably in about 9 months. Okay. And it took hers about 2 years to get healed. So there's a lot of great things about living in Costa Rica. Eduardo goes back and forth, Costa Rica to Florida. He's like, I can't wait to go back to his place. It's a Carmona in Guanacaste. He's missing his dog Larry, his cat Mike, and his Geo Tracker, and the potpourri's around there, and his ice cold Imperials. Man, I know what you're talking about. I'm missing my ice cold Imperials. All I have is crystal beer. But it's the best crystal beer in the world. You know, there's lots of, I was saying earlier, I absolutely love where I'm at now. But it all boils down to what you've heard me say before, folks. Costa Rica can be a nightmare. If you know the good, the bad, and the ugly, you're prepared. You learn how to adapt and overcome. You learn how to adjust. And it all goes back to what I say. When you can see Y-E, when you can control your environment. When you can control your environment, then life is just tremendous. I'm talking about tremendous, okay? But you got to be able to control your environment. Like exactly like where I'm at. Here's the thing that I don't know that I've talked about. There's from time to time, there's tourists that will come on this property, okay? And they will go see what my neighbor has built, okay? Well, I've got some beautiful flowers that I put up on the edge. And I've got fruit that grows in my yard. I've got mulberries that are growing over there. Well, the tourists, they won't think twice about plucking my flowers, and they don't think they're doing any harm. Pick my flowers, and they put a flower, up here. A lot of women do that, okay? Well, it's like, dang, I only got 3 flowers there. You pick my flower and put it on. How am I going to enjoy my flowers? I can't enjoy my flowers. Now, in the United States, you would not dare walk into someone's yard and pick a flower out of their yard. You would not do that. You would not dare go in their yard, pick their berries, pick their bananas, pick their fruit. In Costa Rica, it's very, very different. They don't think about that at all, okay? And so, I will soon put up a fence around my property so that when people come, they won't pick my flowers and they'll stay off of my property. It's just very, very different. So when you can see Y-E, control your environment, you'll be able to enjoy life so much better. So Evelina says, wow, man, that's a long time to get healed. And I'm sure you sleep with a mosquito net. And how did the spider get in? Zipper malfunction? Well, we do have a mosquito net and all that. But, we live, at nighttime with a mosquito net. But not everything is 100% sealed. And, the spiders, where the spiders get underneath, or you're fixing the bed and the mosquito net gets pushed, it's not 100% sealed. Matter of fact, the mosquito net that I've got here in the house over the bed, it's not like, it's a good mosquito net bought off of Amazon, but I'm going to pick up 2 more I just bought because my cat Cootie, she decided she's going to climb on top and walk on the mosquito net, and it's not that strong, and she broke that mosquito net. So I got it all closed up with clothespins right now. So anything can happen. Just part of living in Costa Rica. Now, see, William, he lives in Costa Rica, and he's like, man, the brown recluse, the pus is hard and takes forever. Absolutely, because, when a brown, it's a cousin of the brown recluse. But anyway, that spider bites you, it will swell up and look just like a pimple or a zit. And if you mash it, oh, dude, that's the worst thing you can do. And I've learned, and I'm not telling you ought to do this, but every time I get bit by a spider, I get a really brand new razor, real clean. I take that razor and I cut around the edge. And if I cut around the edge where that skin is at, I can literally take a toothpick and then just push that nasty stuff out. And then I generally heal up really fast if I can do that without damaging or without spreading that nasty poison everywhere. So anyway, those are the ones that are bad, or the ones that I think we've been bitten by. And brown recluses in the United States can really be terrible. And Robin Lars like, yeah, there's brown recluses here in Vancouver, on Vancouver Island. Brown recluses could be something rough. William says, I do not see any termite shields here. They put it up on concrete, and by the time you see it, get an estimate. Let's see. So, yeah, I've never seen anyone use anything like termite shields here in Costa Rica. I'm not sure why. Is it because the termites here are all on the trees and they fly? I don't know. But, hey, I haven't seen termite shields here either. It's amazing to me because there's just a lot of things. Like I'm getting ready to put up in the United States, we call it a hurricane fence, right? Or a chain link fence. Well, you put up these poles and you just go to Home Depot, and instead of having to weld everything together, a little fitting goes up there. It's got a loop. Your top rail goes in there. And if you have a brace, it's got a thing that goes on there and it comes down and you brace it. You buy all that stuff and man, you could put up a cement fence in a hurry. Costa Rica, there's nothing like that. You just weld everything together. So you have to understand that Costa Rica is still 40, 50, 60 years behind in times. And I love going to Home Depot when I go to the United States. I'm like a kid in a candy shop because there's all these amazing tools and just you can find all kind of stuff that just will be mind-blowing, what you can find. So anyway, Evelina says, what mosquito net design do you choose and why? And so if you look on Amazon, you got to be careful because there's tons and tons of different types. But the one I found one that's coming in, and maybe I'll show you in the video sometime next week or something. But anyway, this one mosquito net is about 8 foot wide, 6.5, 7 foot long. Okay, but it has zippers on all four sides, and it all hangs. In Costa Rica, you can buy mosquito nets, but they're the kind that usually they will dome out. They're round at the top. They might be about 2 foot around, and it comes down, and you got to tuck them under your bed. I don't like my mosquito net right up against me. So anyway, but that's what I do. And I bought this mosquito net. I bought 2 of them. I like to have a backup. And so they were about $35 a piece. Okay. So $35 a piece, and I can put up a brand new mosquito net, and I got zippers on all sides. So anyway, whenever I'm going to pick it up tomorrow, actually. So sometime next week, I'm gonna redo my mosquito net over my bed. So, all right. So I'm looking through here for some other questions, but I don't see a whole lot of questions. But anyway, Costa Rica for me is really, and for a lot of people, is can be amazing once you adapt and once you understand some of the things that you need to do. So for me, the most important thing that you need to have when you come to Costa Rica is to have a good attorney. Have a good attorney. Use my recommended attorney, okay? I promise you will not regret it, okay? But if you have, that's the most important thing that you can have, is to have a really good attorney. Have a really good attorney, and that way, if you have any questions, you have any problems, you got someone that you can call that's going to take care of you, okay? Now, Evelina asked a good question and says, hey, are the roads so bad half of the year that the motorcycles would be useless? Motorcycles, the roads are bad not half the year. The roads are bad 365 days out of the year. That's all it is to it. Not all of the roads are bad, and I have seen improvement, okay? But there's a lot of places the roads are bad. But you know what? With motorcycles, man, it really is just a piece of cake. Matter of fact, when I go to town tomorrow, I'm going on my motorbike. And I'll be driving a couple of hours down the mountain, and the road is nowhere near paved or anything. It's all mountainous, and it's all, but hey, that's what a motorcycle is for. Now, it's not a road that I would ride my Harley Davidson on, okay? You would tear up a Harley Davidson, you wouldn't tear it up. Harley Davidsons are strong, but man, you wouldn't do your Harley Davidson justice. I used to have a great Harley Davidson. I would not put my Harley Davidson on a dirt road, okay? But the deal is, in Costa Rica, you can have a motorcycle and go anywhere in the world with a motorcycle. And I tell you what, having a motorcycle, you can get there a whole lot faster because anytime you get in traffic, it's so easy to get around the traffic. So, hey, motorcycle, first, I'm going to say the first 3 years, 3 or 4 years, that's the only thing Rebecca and I had. We went everywhere on a motorbike, even in the rain. Now, William said, I was thinking about putting some citronella plants. What's your opinion? Man, I have tried a lot of different types of plants as far as keeping bugs out. You know, I've tried lemongrass and I've even burnt citronella candles and stuff, and they do help. Here's what I have found out has helped me the most, okay? I never have been big on burning incense, okay? And but I like kind of the smell of incense sometimes. Well, I was playing around and actually started burning some incense, and hardly ever have a problem with mosquitoes here. But hey, it only takes 1 or 2 mosquitoes. Well, if the mosquitoes happen to come in the house here at nighttime, all I got to do is burn 1 incense stick, and that smoke just going around, you know, man, within just moments, the mosquitoes are gone, okay? So when I have a problem with mosquitoes, I burn incense. I did have a citronella candle. Well, I got it sitting on the counter there. However, I got it at Walmart. Must be a really bad brand because it just didn't seem like it did any good at all. Evelina says, my son keeps thinking a motorcycle would be great, and I think rural roads are way too rough. No, your son is spot on. If he had a motorcycle, I mean, and look, there's several types of motorcycles, okay? And so, you know, there's street bikes. Don't buy a street bike motorbike. Buy a motorcycle that looks like a dirt bike, okay? But it's, you know, so it gets good knobby tires on it, got some good suspension on it. Get you one of those motorcycles. I promise you, you will not regret it. And look, for about $3,000, he could have a great motorbike, whether it be a Yamaha or a Honda. Don't go buy one of these cheap Chinese motorbikes. You can get a cheap Chinese motorbike, probably $1,500, okay? I wouldn't buy one of those, okay? Not at all. But get you a good Yamaha, good Honda, and you're golden. Eduardo says, when are we getting our Costa Rica school diploma? You know what, Eduardo? I'm going to have to think about getting you a diploma. You've been a really good student. So, William was saying, hey, Evelina, you know, Harleys are low. He says, but I think he's talking about his Honda. I think he's talking about his Honda. Eduardo does fine. It's a CRF 450X. Now, Bill, William, tell me, I bet you imported that CRF 450, huh? Because I used to have a CRF 450 when I was living in Las Vegas, and I hadn't seen anything like it here in Costa Rica. So I'm willing to bet you've had to import that thing. I really wished I had my Honda my Honda CRF. You know, yeah, would be a huge difference. Yeah, Robin Lard, my road is crazy. Matter of fact, I think Rob had second thoughts about leaving because once he got up here, he couldn't believe he made it, and then he didn't know if he could make it back. My road is bad. All right, so I'm kind of just scanning some of these. Lots of great comments, a lot of interaction going on. I love that. JR says that someone told him to burn cartons that the eggs come in to keep the mosquitoes out. Well, in actuality now, whether it be cartons that the eggs come in or not, well, you know, anytime you're burning anything, mosquitoes will go away. Mosquitoes hate any kind of fire, any kind of smoke coming from fire. So if you have any kind of smoke, it's going to keep mosquitoes out. So anyway, hey, so any other questions, any other comments? Hey, we are already close to the hour. So, folks, I do want to say thank you so much. And look, you can really, really support this channel in a great way by, hey, make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure that you share it. Make sure that even after the video is over, hey, leave some comments underneath the video. Let people know how much you enjoyed the live and, encourage people to join the live, okay? So, folks, I really love taking the time. I do a little bit of research. It's a lot of effort because I'm kind of crazy. If I can't do it right, then why do it at all? So I take time to put in a good thumbnail and put in the description to try to get people coming down here so they can learn a little bit more about what's going on. So Evelina says, hey, Alan, why are you taking your motorcycle tomorrow and not your Land Cruiser? Well, there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, I'm tight. I just need to make a quick trip to town. And if I take my Land Cruiser, that's going to take me about $50 in gasoline. If I take my motorbike, it's going to take me about $7 in gasoline. Big difference there, okay? So, and I love riding my motorbike, I'll get up early in the morning, jump on that bike, man, the wind in my hair, and my hair just flowing. I just love it, love it. So I love riding my bike. And since I don't have to get groceries or anything, I can pick up a couple of things. Really, I'm just flying down to town, pick up a few things. I'll actually be recording a video with a guy that you guys are going to want to see. So, one of the hardest things to find in Costa Rica is somebody that can do some repairs around your house, maybe a handyman. Well, I'm actually going to be doing a video with a Tico, super, super good guy. Honest. I mean, he's the most honest Tico I have found yet. Okay. And that's because he was in the United States for many, 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 many years. And so I'm going to be actually doing a video with this guy tomorrow. And he's offering his services, and he wants to get the word out so that he can come and help be a handyman for you. So you want to make sure that you stick around, and if you haven't subscribed so that you don't miss that. But anyway, I'm going to be actually doing a video. So, hey, that's why I'm taking the motorbike. I just love the wind blowing in, my hair blowing in the wind. And so William did answer. He says, yeah, whoops. I love that. Yeah. He said, stuff went so fast. That's too funny. So William was saying that he does have a bike, but he was warning me. He says, make sure you wear your rubber underwear tomorrow. It's supposed to rain a lot. Well, it just might. That's good advice. JR, how old were you when your hair was flowing? About 15. I haven't had hair since I joined the Marine Corps. When I joined the Marine Corps and they cut it all off, well, I just kept it that way. Now, don't you feel safer? Evelina says, don't you feel safer? You can bring more stuff if you're in your vehicle. Yeah, hey, I'm really experienced, man. I've been riding motorbikes since I was a kid. I bought my first scooter. I was probably 14 years old, okay? And the roads in Costa Rica, especially my road, dude, you better not drive on my road, even in a car, unless you got experience. But I got a lot of experience, and I've ridden that road a lot. But anyway, it's just a lot of fun. But yeah, it is safer, and it's kind of nice to sit in the car. But I got to take the motorbike out once in a while. I really thought I would get rid of my motorbike after I got up here, but I'm glad that I didn't. I do enjoy riding my bike. Here's the biggest problem with my bike. When I got ready to buy a bike, I got just the most popular bike out there, which was a 125. Okay, that's a small bike. I mean, that's a bike for a toddler. Okay, it's not a scooter, but that's the cheapest and most popular bike. And I was looking for something like at least a 200, 250. And I was down in San Vito, and I was down in the South, could not find anything. Had I known it was that difficult, I'd have just gone to San Jose, but I was brand new. I didn't know. I'd have gone to San Jose and bought a bigger bike. The problem is my bike, even if it's me riding by myself, it just doesn't have a lot of strength going up these roads. And if the road is bad and you lose momentum, it can be dangerous. So Evelina says, well, okay, well, say you experience heavy rains tomorrow. What would you choose to wear while riding your motorcycle? I suppose it's just as hot, but also wet. So, hey, where I'm at, I would freeze. Okay, so if it rains tomorrow, which it might, I do have a good slicker, and I mean a good heavy-duty slicker. It's going to cost you some money to have a good heavy-duty slicker, but I got a good heavy-duty slicker, and I put that on, and heck, I'll be dry. Well, the top part of me dry. The bottom part of me will be wet because I only have the top. I don't have the bottoms. But hey, it's not that bad. But yeah, I've been in rains a whole lot, and in Costa Rica, all over the place, some rains. As long as I'm not going up the mountain, it's fine. You won't. It does get cold because you're in all of that wind, but it's not terrible. And now William says I need his son as a guest. He's a metal worker for 29 years old. You know what? Talk to your son. And if he's serious, I'd love to have him as a guest and talk to him about his metalworking experience and share that with my channel. I'd love to share that. Now, I agree totally with Doug. If you're in Costa Rica, you need a good side-by-side. One of these days, I'm just going to buy me a side-by-side, Doug. And then, hey, maybe you can come down here and we'll go ride, okay? A side-by-side is an awesome vehicle. And that's what this place needs, really. Oh, I love that. William says he's going to bring back his all-terrain vehicle. Hey, let's go for a ride. That looks good. An all-terrain vehicle would be a great way, man. You could put on stuff. And Rob remembers his trip up here. He says, hell yes, Alan. Waze had an interesting trip for us to your place. We went through Del Monte's banana plantations and rode the edge of a cliff all the way up to my place. And he ain't lying. It's tough. All right, folks, we are up on that hour. Folks, look, I greatly appreciate it. I'm glad that you're here. Please make sure that you like, share, comment, be interactive. Can't wait to see you next week. Same time, same station at the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica channel. It's the only channel not trying to sell you Costa Rica so you can buy more of my product and services. Hey, folks, can't wait to see you next time. If you need anything, check out all of the links in the description below.